A very good
Uh,
evening to a very warm good evening to all of you. I hope all of you are doing well, staying safe, staying healthy. Welcome to the 102nd session of CENTA's webinar series for teachers. Today's session, as you know, is going to focus on how teachers could, teach mathematics in a more effective and fun manner. And that's what we're going to do over the course of the next hour or so. We are going to explore a few tips and strategies which math teachers could use to teach to make this subject more fun. And I'm sure while this is for math teachers, I'm sure there'll be like lots of learnings for teachers who are teaching other subjects as well. So would request everyone, even if you're not a math teacher, to stay back, and I'm sure there'll be something in it for you as well. I'll quickly take a minute to introduce today's facilitator. She is a special person. She is a My Center community member, just like all of you, are. And her name is Ms. Gupreet Bhatnagar. Good evening, Gurpreet ma'am. Fantastic to
Good
have you
evening,
with us.
Karthik. Good evening, Karthik.
Uh,
Thank you for having me.
Gurpreet ma'am is a senior math teacher who has over 25 years of teaching experience, and she has been associated with the NCERT and CBSE in various capacities, such as that of a resource person, a subject matter expert, and so on. She has also been a part of several authoring and reviewing teams for teacher manuals. She's conducted teacher training webinars with the CBSE and the Center of Excellence in East Delhi, Center of Excellence in Chandigarh, in Pune, and so forth. And lest I forget, she is also a digital badge holder from CENTA for her fantastic achievement in the CENTA Teaching Professionals Olympiad. Uh, Once again, thank you so much for doing this session, for agreeing to do this session, Gurpreet ma'am. And just before you start, a couple of quick announcements for the benefit of those who are joining us for the first time. Those of you who are regulars in this series would already know the drill, but we will share a feedback form in around 45 minutes from now. The feedback form will be shared in the live chat section. It will also be made available on my center, which is the place that you used to register for the session, which is m.center.org from your mobile browser. Please fill in the feedback form. It's super critical for two things. It's important for us to understand how the session went, and it's also important for you to get your record of participation tomorrow. So in case you're looking for a record of participation, please do fill in the feedback form. That's number one. The second announcement is regarding the slides that get shared during the session. uh, a lot of times we come across comments such as the slides are not clearly visible, or I'm not able to see it, what's happening. And so there are a couple of things that you could do to and many of you have already started doing it, which is fantastic. One is you could go full screen. That should help. Second, you could also look at the settings menu of your YouTube video and increase the video quality. It will very likely be auto, so if you can increase it to like a 720p or a 1080p, that'll be great. That'll help. And in case you're still facing an issue, don't worry. Let's not type in "I'm not able to see it" in the comment section. I'd request you to wait till the session gets over, and we'll share we've spoken to Gurpreet ma'am. She's very happy to share her slides with all those who are in the session, so we'll share the slides separately as well, so you could always come look at the recording, look at the slides in parallel and see. So no need to worry on that front. Yeah, that's pretty much it from my side. Gurpreet ma'am, over to you.
Good evening, Karthik. Thank you so much for your kind words and lovely introduction. I have to say that I'm super excited and I'm tight bit nervous at the same time to be here. So, personally speaking, I've been following Center Talks and the webinars that you hold every now and then for years now. And today I feel very honored to be sharing the same platform with you. So, this is a deja vu for me. I had dreamt of it, but I didn't know it will be like this. So, it's indeed a very humbling experience for me. So, good evening, everyone. How are you all doing? Thank you for coming. I will be needing your support and participation to make it through the session. So let me know if you're able to hear me and if you're able to see the slide that I'm about to share. Karthik, can we start sharing the slide?
Yes, ma'am. The slides are in the stream now. Yeah.
Okay, great. So yes, can all right, great. So I'm getting a lot of yeses. So welcome once again. Name is Gupreet Bhatnagar, and I'm glad that you came. So the plan for the next hour or so is to share my 25 years of teaching experience while I was learning to teach, So allow me to share with you my teaching philosophies, a few ideas that, have helped me teach maths while having fun with my students. So I welcome you all and look forward to your comments and participation from this point onwards. So shall we begin? Yes, definitely. So as of, famous quote says it all, I'm not saying I'm going to change the world, but I'll guarantee that I'll spark the brain that will. So I come with the teaching philosophy that imbibes this thought. I'm going to share my next slide where there's a challenge coming for you. What is maths without a challenge? So through the session, I'll be trying to showcase how we can get our children engaged in our teaching. Small questions, no particular curriculum or any standard that I'll be following, but I wish that, and I hope, pray that all of you will be participating and enjoying the next 1 hour with me. So on your screen, I'm playing out an animation. You can see on the shelf there are 10 maths encyclopedia. They are arranged in a particular manner. So I want you to take note of that, how they've been arranged. And the thickness of each of these encyclopedias from end to end is 5 centimeter, and the thickness of the cover part is 0.25 centimeter on either side. That's very clearly visible in the animation. I hope you're keeping a tab on the slides movement. So my question to you now is, based on whatever you are been given till now, is what is the distance between the first page of volume 1 and the last page of volume 10? I seek your answers in the chat box. So come on, just do a little bit of maths. This is not set on any particular curriculum. So just help me out. What do you think is the distance between the first page of first book to the last page of last book? That's the 10th book. So let's do some maths. 4.5. Okay, 54.5. Answers have started coming. I appreciate all the answers, so keep it coming. 4.5 centimeter. Okay. I'll give you a moment to just do the calculation. You don't have to share the calculation, just come out with the answer that you think fits here. The distance between the first page of volume 1 and the last page of volume 10, just give it a thought on the placement of the books on the shelf before you go calculating. All right, the chat box is flooded and I'm totally liking that. I'm getting variation of answer: 54, 49.5, 4.5, 55. All right. Now, I wanted your focus to be right there. There's a animation moving, just showing you arrow depiction of where to where do you have to focus on. Now, since I said you have to go from the first page of volume 1 to the last page of volume 10, the answer is 40.5 centimeter. Let me repeat, it's 40.5 centimeter, guys. It is not the answers that I'm seeing in the chat box, but I'm really happy that you are all trying. So keep it coming. Please see that I asked you the distance. So this distance is basically having 8 books in the middle and the cover page, single cover page of the first book and the last cover page of the 10th book. So you have 40 centimeters between and 0.25 on the left hand side and 0.25 on the right hand side. So the final answer is 40.5. Okay, so this was my strategy to get your attention and participation, and thank you so very much. I'm really liking the kind of group we have generated here. So yes, so I'm very fond of asking such, purposeful question, because there is an interest that I want to see from the learner's standpoint. And I'm also very fond of giving purposeful quotes which inspire me. So as I go along, I'll keep dropping one or two on the way. I hope you enjoy that also. So here is one of them. So do not confine your students to your own learning. for they are born in another time. I don't remember who said it, but it is so meaningful and relevant for the purpose that we all have come together today. So let me start by just sharing a few teaching philosophies, which are my personal favorite. I'm going to share four of them. And I'm going to just read through it. If you are not able to read it, please let me know. I'll read it again for you. So, the very first thought that I go by while I'm teaching is all students learn best through imitation, reflection, and experience. What are your sentiments on these thoughts? Just let me know. As we go along on this journey today, please do share whether you are agreeing with my thought process. Do you align with it? Do you have any kind of response on that, on any reflection that you have? Another one that I live by is that all students learn, just not on the same day or at the same pace. Any sentiments on that? A yes or a maybe? Have you experienced that going on in your classroom? So another one is all students do not learn the same way. So I would just seek your support and some kind of reflection on everything that I'm sharing with you. This is very personal and yet very, very philosophical. You may say all students remember a teacher, not the methods or the techniques. What's your say on that? Should you be celebrated only on 5th of September, or do you celebrate every day? Every day that you have in your teaching with your students. I believe one of you just wrote, practice what you preach. So yes, definitely so. So these teaching philosophies are something that I have gathered through the years, through my experience of teaching and experimentations, and definitely a few failures here and there. Because good teaching is 1/4 a preparation and 3/4 a theater. This is what Gail Goldwyn had said. I have to share with you that on the very second day of in the beginning of my teaching career, my supervisor had stopped me in the corridor and commented, Gurpreet, your classes are very noisy. Are the kids giving you trouble? So I remember clearly that I was taken aback a bit, but then I recalled why it is so, because I ask and I allow asking in my classroom. So, yes, my classes are full of constructive noise, and that could be noisy for some, but that could be so meaningful for the children who are engaging with me. So, the very first strategy, or if I may say, a classroom setup where I see effective teaching going on, irrespective of the subject, but in particular, we are talking maths today, that questions are valued more than a correct answer. We have to get our kids to engage with us on a very personal level rather than just filling notebooks. Asking questions is essential for checking a student's understanding and keeping them engaged with the task at hand. It's crucial for the way students receive and they process the information. It engages independent and critical thinking, and the wonderful words that we associate with mathematics every day. you know it shocked me, but it is so said that there are statistics which show that the average teacher asks around 400 questions per day. Can you believe that? Can you even fathom that? Like, do we really talk so much? The kind of reputation that we have, the teachers are fond of talking. 400 questions per day, irrespective of the classroom you're in or the environment you're in. We should remember that effective questioning involves using questions to open conversations, discussions, inspire intellectual thoughts, promote student to teacher communication or student to student interaction. What's your say on that? Should we have more questions or teaching, or should they go hand in hand? Effective questioning practice in a maths classroom generally has to focus on students' response, his observations, the way he thinks or justifies the process of, how and why, as opposed to answering the surface details, the what part. So, timely and impactful and purposeful questions can create opportunities for the students to analyze and reflect on their own understanding, construct their own thoughts, evaluate their peers' point of view, and then lastly, reflect on their work. What's your say on that? Let the chat box keep buzzing with a lot of action. So yes, your sentiments are very, very effective going to make it this session very effective. So help me out a little bit. Yeah. So total support, I like that. So I'm sure at one or more occasions a student in your class might have said, I have a stupid question or I have a silly doubt. Do you have children who are defensive in asking questions? Do you have something like that? I used to have kids like that, and hearing that would make me empathize with their psychology and the pressure or the mindset they struggle with, that they find it so wrong to question while the teacher is teaching. Any sentiments you'd like to share on that? So, you have to go ahead and ask questions. Go ahead and ask closed questions, which require a yes or a no or a very short answer. It could be structured observation, it could be unstructured observation. Say 3 plus 4 equals 7. Is that true? Is a circle a closed figure? Is it a two-dimensional figure? Can we have a circle within a three-dimensional space? Is a natural number an integer? I'm just throwing some examples. This is how the mathematical communication can engage a child to think for himself while you are facilitating the teaching part. So what is a factor? What's a prime number? Is 2 into 3 into 4 a prime factorization? These are quick and easy to respond kind of questions. Generally, we should ask such doubts while the learning process is on. They challenge the child's memory and recalling facts. So refer to the Bloom verbs for creating or framing your questioning vocabulary. So such questions create or cater to the lower order thinking skills. That's why I call them closed questions, because they have definite answers. There is no other way around it. But you ask such questions to check their recalling, remembering, understanding, and application. I'm not going into the detail of this part because I have so much more to share with you. We all have been using Bloom in our question designs, even in our questions being asked in the classroom. But if you plan a lesson so that, questions become part of teaching, you will have a very comfortable class which likes to reason and holds an opinion. So you have to also ensure that at the same time, this is not the only questioning you do in mathematics, because closed questions, they limit the child's opportunity to expand on an answer or provide a logical reason or an opinion. So what am I talking about? Please do ask open questions also. Asking open questions which require a deeper level of thinking, such activity prompts a lengthier response, so you have to have the patience. They Such questions ask the students to think, reflect, provide opinions, feelings, and take control of the conversation. So Bloom words channelize the high order thinking skills, which is such a big nowadays. So analyzing, then you have evaluating questions, then you also have creating questions. Some of the teachers do ask me in my webinars, like, how do you have a child create? What do you mean by saying creation? When you have a child evaluate, that does not mean, I'm sorry, I'm skipping a step before that. Evaluating is mostly confused with the assessment that teachers do. I'm sorry, I beg to differ on that. Evaluation is basically when the child is reflecting on his understanding and making a meaning out of that understanding. And when we say creating, where does he apply next? Can he create something out of it? I have had a student, I still fondly remember him, for playing out a tune of prime numbers and even Fibonacci sequence for us in a classroom where we were just doing sequence and series. So you have to have such sessions where children just go about maybe rapping a song, creating a song on properties of quadrilateral. That was also fun to watch. One of the teachers had done that. I think I'm going a bit tangential on that, but please Do research a little bit on the Bloom words for questioning, because they can really help you out, engage your children, and open up the forum for them to talk to you, because engagement does not happen unless they are actively involved in it. So learning happens only then. Any sentiments again? Chat box should not slow down. Come on now, please let me know what are your thoughts on the points I just shared with you. Now on your screen, I'm just sharing a slide which is one of my favorites. This is not my personal work. I take such references from many resources available online. Some of them are free resources, some of them are websites which let you use them in your classroom. So on your screen, you're seeing some natural numbers. Some of you may call them positive integers, whatever you may call them. But for the time being, let me say I'm sharing 1 to 20 natural numbers on your screen. Can you make some sense out of the cuts in the numbers, the color codes that's going on in the numbers? You need to look deeper. Now, this could not be a closed question. This is an open question. So, such questions require you to have patience with the children. You could go into cooperative learning, collaborative learning. The children could be put in groups, they could be put in jigsaw strategy. We know so many fancy ways, but most of us, or at least for myself, I can say sometimes I've struggled, okay, knowing what is collaboration, knowing what a jigsaw strategy is, how do I use it? Like, what kind of questions would invite that kind of learning? So yes, lot of responses again in the chat box. Thank you so much. Number of factors, so you can see 1 does not have any cuts, 2 does not have any cuts, 3 doesn't, 4 has 2 cuts because it has 2 factors. What about the colors? Can you make some sense out of the colors? Now if you put such a slide for 5 minutes in the beginning of the class, or maybe at the end of the class, I'm sure you're going to get some questions. So sometimes when you give children an extended learning through worksheets, they are also doing what you intend to do, learning through reflection. So we have to ensure that your purposeful challenge has a takeaway at the end. You know, there has to be something to take back home from the activity that you did. So all this is just to showcase about what I'm talking about. So open-ended questions need time, they need to be paced, but for effective questioning, this is the juice of it all for me, that I have to have no hand raise policy. Some of you may be surprised at that, because this is the way we invite questions or invite answers from the students. Make the students aware of the fact that they may be called upon, so they can begin thinking through and prepare their answer. You know, if the kids are aware that you will select them randomly, they will be higher level of engagement. You might be wondering, online forum, how is that manageable? Yes, it is manageable. You just need to have the right challenge or a hook to get them interested. And of course, it will also call restlessness too. You know, managing anxiety, peer pressure, patience for others, these are also the social skills we need to train our kids in. So we are not just teaching maths, we are doing much more for the child when we have such kind of control movement in the classroom. Another one of my rules that I don't negotiate on is having a wait time. This time gives students time to think, rehearse their answers before speaking out. Don't we have students say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. Let me just rephrase. Let me just try again. Ma'am, my answer was so and so." So you have to have some wait time. You will see improvement in their retention. You will see more consideration, lengthier explanations, and higher level of student to student interaction and engagement. And also, yes, you have to plan ahead and mix questions. When you're creating your lesson plan, consider what type of questions you're going to ask that day. Have a structure in it. Have a plan before you actually enter the classroom. Set the platform, as it's called, teaching is more of a drama. While open questions give the students opportunity to provide details for reasoning, closed questions are used for quick facts check and moving the lesson forward. What's your say on that? Do you agree with it? Should I have only open questions? Should I only have closed session? Or should I have a mixed bag of that? You should vary your questions. You should use both of them because of your reason of asking. What is your purpose to ask? So plan ahead. Another one is prepare follow up questions. You can't just ask a question and then have an answer and move on to the next question. So prepare a good stock of follow up questions that you can use if you want a student to expand on their answer. Sometimes discussions don't actually go the way the teacher had planned. For example, you should have extended questions like, what makes you think that? How do you know that? Or, what if, etc., etc. These extended responses, generally evoke deeper level of thinking. Furthermore, asking questions like, how did you reach to this conclusion? It makes a child reflect on their decision making and reflect on their calculations or procedural skills on the important part of mathematics. So it's not always conceptual. At concept, learning is not always on conceptual level. Sometimes communication also is required to have some kind of reflection on how did you reach this answer? Can the child really explain? So any sentiments again, but my last one on this is, do not dismiss answers. I beg of you not to do that. I'm sure you don't do that. Every contribution is valuable, even if the answer isn't necessarily correct. Show appreciation for any answer and offer appropriate praise based on the quality of the answer. So collect such responses and use them for, another day of questioning. Anybody who agrees with me? Yes, the chat box is really going with a yes, I agree. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now let me just flip the idea 180-degree for you. I'm sharing with you two scenarios. I hope the animation is playing clearly for you. In front of you, you're seeing two classrooms. Class A has where the teacher is asking questions, and classroom B is where the questions are coming from the students. What is the purpose of teacher question, or what does the student question reflect on the teaching? Which classroom reflects your way of teaching? Can you just give me some idea? Are you a classroom A type of a teacher? Are you a classroom B type of a teacher? So what's your say on that? Just waiting for some responses. All right. Most of you are going with B. So according to you, we should go mostly for students to ask questions. Okay. Only classroom B is not going to really do it for you. So I'm getting some responses like A and B, a mix of A and B. I'm with you, my friend. If a student cannot learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach the way they learn. I love this quote. I told you I'm very fond of quotes which hit hard for me, but I believe that a mixed bag is required. So earlier I was saying the teachers should pose questions to encourage critical thinking, but now I'm saying the students should ask more questions. I think it should be 70-30 ratio for student versus teachers questioning. So you should have at least 70% of the time invested in questions coming from the student side, and 30% or maybe around 20% you should ideally go for questioning yourself to just check on their understanding. So questions coming from the student, interesting. What does it indicate? It indicates that they are thinking about the ideas you just presented, and they are trying to make link of those ideas with other ideas they already have. So the source of student questions doesn't just come from there. It also comes from probably a learning gap, or a confusion in the understanding, or simply the desire to learn more, or the curiosity. But for students, posing their questions is a first step towards filling their knowledge gap and, resolving the puzzlement in their mind, because they do get confused how they infer your teaching, how they take from your teaching. That could be varying. So the process of asking questions by the student is to encourage them to articulate their current understanding of a topic and make connections with other topics, and also be aware of what they know and what they don't know. So I think that should be the way to go about it. This also encourages constructivism, one of my favorite model of learning, constructivism, where the students make sense of his own learning. Let them lead the class at so rightly called student-centered classroom, and also, pass the autonomy of learning to them and make constructive meaning of the learning through the process. So, uh, if I'm getting a question which I like to take at the end, if students are hesitant to participate in their class, maybe we need to go on a personal level, because I'm sure you can get a reading from the classroom as to there are some kids which don't really like to be the center of the attention. So I do understand where you're coming from. In that, I think you should actually make some personal time with the child. That is one of the theories I go with, having a relation with the children on a personal level. So if they're not comfortable asking in front of others, you can always take 5 minutes out of the classroom where they can pose their questions. I have had personally students who are too shy to ask, to write their questions on a piece of paper and pass the chit to me, and I get back to them in my own time. So you could try doing that. But now let's move on to another situation that's come our way, which we have faced a dilemma in order to get more for paying less. I'm sure some of you or most of you have seen this kind of question floating on social media. Which pizza offer would you like to take? On the social media, it was situation A and B. I said, why not just go with three options for you? So my slide could only cover three. I could give you more. But for the time being, would you go for an single 18-inch pizza or two 12-inch pizzas? Or would you like to take the offer of 8-inch, three pizzas? So, can you please just try? You're going with option A. All right, answers are coming. Most of you are getting greedy looking at the number of pizzas. So, some of you are going with C. Nobody's taking B. Interesting. Give it a thought. Would you go for A or B or C? A and C are definitely catching your attention because they're hopping around. B is the one looking left and right and saying, nobody is picking me. What's wrong? Some of you are going with B also, but all of us know pi r square. How you use it, when you time it, do you open your class with this? Do you want to end your class with it? Or do you want to take it as a in-between breather kind? It's always up to you. As I said in the beginning, all students learn best through reflection and experience, and definitely not the same way. So yes, the answer is A. But can you next time probably create questions where the question engages and becomes a center stage rather than the solution part? So relevance of what I'm asking, why I'm asking. So purposeful questions. So here, the benefits of inquiry based learning. We all know this model is very favorite of all of us, the 5 E's. If you know the 5 E's of inquiry based learning, please write it in the chat box again. Let me see how much you've been doing on your side in the last couple of years of pandemic situation. How do you impose inquiry based learning in your classroom? So for me, it is a child's question reveals interest and his engagement. Another one is, it also tells me as a teacher the learning gap and the depth of their understanding. So questions coming from student side does so much. One question could tell you so much about the child's skills or the learning he's taken from you. So questions promote recall and critical thinking, problem solving skills. Yes, believe me, one stone does it all. So one stone kills all these birds. So question builds foundation for new learning. This is one of my favorites. So when a child starts asking question, please don't shut them down, encourage it. And yes, sometimes it can be messy, sometimes it can delay your planned lesson, sometimes it can hamper the progress of the class, but I think the child deserves that from you. So when you ask a question, you are most likely to remember the information you have received. It makes sense. It's understandable that you like to ask about something that's interesting and relevant to you. So when a child is asking, the learning must have hit him close, or it has created some interest and created some relevance for him. So, he's personally invested in the answer that you're bound to give him. Let's move on, shall we? Again, chat box tells me whether I should move on. Are you liking what I'm doing right now? Yes, these are the 5 C's. Gayatri ji, thank you so much. So many others have written, Seema ji, and so many others. I'll have to scroll down, but yes, this is what I need from your end. Guide me and let me know whether I'm able to engage you. So, what else is there? What will happen if I put such a slide in front of a child who is doing algebraic identities? Most of us go by giving them the formulae first, and after that, we have them to, okay, let me see if you can apply this formula correctly. What if I just start my session by putting the subtraction of squares of consecutive numbers? And I asked the child to just experiment. Give them like 5 minutes. You don't have to spend a whole class. You don't have to have them really go around hopping the desk. But if I ask questions, will this pattern emerge only for consecutive numbers? Can you explain it? Will it work for consecutive decimals? Again, I'm asking them open questions. I'm creating inquiry. I'm asking them to reason through them. So will it be in place for the cubes? Can we just swap the symbols of subtraction to the left, addition to the right, or so on? Can it work for multiplication and division? So you just put lots of questions for them and let them find answers. But yes, give them time. You need to. And let them experiment. Will it work for consecutive? What will happen if I take 8 square minus 6 square? So you create a why in their mind. आप दिमाग में कीड़ा डालने की कोशिश कीजिए. कीड़ा किस चीज का? ये क्यों हो रहा है? Let the child analyze. And maybe from there onward, I could lead him into x square minus y square is x plus y, x minus y. And the child can actually see that. The minute the numbers are not consecutive, the child can make sense. Yes, I follow that x plus y, x minus y, and why is that? And you leave the classroom feeling very achieved. So I don't know if I'm using the right language, but I'm using the right sentiments. That's what I'm seeing in the chat box. So thank you so much. Stay with me. For the time being, maybe you could have such kind of rubrics, or you could have such kind of sheets just given to the children at the end of the lesson or an end of an activity, and have them just indulge in their own way. Don't grade it, but have it, make sure the child at least tries it. When you do that, you are engaging the child in asking the why, and why always comes out in the form of a question. So it is my job as a teacher to foster an environment for creative work and extended learning. There is a great difference between knowing and understanding. You can know a lot about something, but not really understanding it. Have you heard that before? This is another quote which is one of my favorites, but it makes so much of sense. We can't just keep imparting knowledge. We also have to check if it has been received rightly or so. So we have to have divergent sources for having learning ideas. Fuel the creativity in the classroom with divergent thinking sources. You know the word divergent, it is basically developing in different directions, holistic development. So divergent thinking is more to do with the way the mind generates ideas beyond the curriculum expectations, rote thinking, or bring creativity inside the classroom. So convergent thinking, on the other side, it restricts the ideas to might be correct or the best solution to a problem. I've seen personally some of my friends do that in the classroom. That would not gain you any appreciation for your efforts, but it will also not give you the lasting learning. So this system of overt convergence is, it's a grading culture that is penalizing the students for being wrong. What's your take on that? Do you think we should have this kind of curriculum, or should we also align with how the shift in the assessment is coming through, how we have struggled through the last 2 years to assess our children? So please let me know. How am I doing till now? Please let me know. So I share with you a model which I recently only have read and I'm still exploring. It's called Solo Model of Learning. It's about the structure of observed learning outcomes. Quite a fancy collection of words, but this is an excellent way to invite responses from learners to create brainstorming environment. You know, it stands for response system, gauging the response system and meeting the outcomes that you want out of the session. So as a teacher, what do? You start your class with sharing an idea, a maths idea, through your explanation, a story, an activity, or simply stating a maths fact. Simple as that. And after that, you ask the students to recall or build connections with their prior knowledge. You know, say Pythagoras theorem, that's what you taught or talked about in the classroom, and how the children are then given time and space to connect previous knowledge. So okay, there's a right triangle. Okay, so we, if we draw a perpendicular from the right vertex, we see similar triangles. All right, so I'm talking senior classroom session, but at the same time, I hope you will be able to do this in the classroom. So read a bit about Solo Model of Learning. I personally am in love with it. And the next one is, you have to have connecting ideas. So art integration projects, guys, based learning, inquiry based learning, collaborative learning. So have them sit and work together. You'll say, how is that possible in pandemic, ma'am? Yes, it's possible if you have a novel idea. So it needs lots of research and work from the teacher's side. Again, it doesn't end over here. After connecting, you have the child extend the idea. Have the extension means, will the child be able to solve problems after your teaching, after you're done with teaching? So reflect a little bit on that. So again, we take a break on some burgers. Dekhiye, first I gave you a pizza, now I'm giving you burgers. So on your screen, and this is something that I have personally experienced in a wonderful workshop. And since then, I've been playing this idea out for my friends to see what a simple way a teacher facilitated the child to go into critical thinking. And over here on your tables, you can see A table has one burger, B table has two burgers, C table has three burgers. Right outside the room, if I say there are 10 people waiting and each one of them comes and chooses a table and plans to take a table which has maximum amount of share for him, go greedy. Where do you think the first person is going to go? Help me out. Let's just do this quickly. We are making good time, but I have so much to share with you. All right, the first person will go to table C. Very obvious, he wants the most. All right. How about the second one? All right, the second one definitely will go to B because he gets two. What about the third one? What am I doing? I'm not playing with your mind. I'm just trying to see how you would plan it out. Fractions, guys, percentages. And it's so relevant. It is so relevant. Let's put the fourth person. So Uncle Ji wanted to go to B, then he said, okay, I would rather take one burger whether I go on A or B. So he goes to A table. The girl with the purse goes to B. I hope you're doing the mental calculation. Are they going at the right places? And I'm sorry, I'll have to rush it a little bit. Let me put lots and lots of people. And this is something which can be food for thought. Have a child draw it out for you. Tell him, I give you 10 people and this is a scenario. Go home and just paint the picture. Let him analyze. And I leave you with a food for thought, as one of you pointed it out there. If you were the 10th person, look at the situation in front of you. Would you go to table A or B or C? On table A, you have one Uncle G. On table B, you have three people. On table C, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. So wherever you may go, you are getting 0.5. but look what you're doing to others. And that was an aha moment for me in that wonderful workshop, that wow, you're teaching me so much more than just fractions. So if you like this, please let me know. I'll pass on the sentiments to the right person. But this was one thing which helped me to go in the direction of divergent thinking, opportunities for the children. So you have to reverse the question and answer paradigm. You have to, instead of value based feedback, inquiry coupled with observations encourage more open ended and in depth approach for evaluating a student's understanding. So, after sharing a problem, spend a minute silently observing your kids and then asking questions prefixed with the phrases like, I noticed that, or why did you think, or how can you explain? Because failure is not an event. I'm so sorry, I'm messing up this one. Failure is an event, not a person. This line stayed with me. If you would just take some minute on that, you have to get your children into inquiry and research based feedback. But this is what I love the most. This is what divergent thinking opportunities do in a classroom. You get to engage the play and you get to manage the failure, and you get participation from your kids. Thank you so much. Kindly, you are so nice and so good to me today. Thank you so much. But I would need more from your end. So let me take you somewhere new again. Not new to your classroom, a familiar scenario. We ask a question to our students, some hands are raised immediately. We call on one of these kids. That answer is closed, but not quite what we were looking for. We instantly call for another student whose arm flies in the air faster than, a rocket. This response is correct. You say to yourself, thank God. And every other student is now done thinking. Enough. Let's move on. Do you think that's right? Do you think it's a right way of engaging your child? But don't some of us or most of us end up doing that? Allow time. Silence in the classroom can feel uncomfortable for the students and instructor alike. Trust me. But processing an information takes time. Waiting for seconds or a minute after posing a question, letting the students, introvert ones, the extrovert ones, the bossy ones, the most enthusiastic ones, the ones who don't like to sit in their chair for long, but to have them be put in deep thought is to expand participation and improve the quality. This requires a lot of patience from the teacher's side. So moving on, you also have to set clear and high expectations. What do I mean? Please don't mistake my saying by giving difficult practice worksheets or set only high order thinking assessments. Let me explain myself. When a student encounters an active learning classroom, and they may be unsure of what to expect of them, you have to announce it. The anxiety and the uncertainty that is caused if you keep them in suspense and you just start chalking on the blackboard, solving a question. How about this? Today, I brought something which will help us solve quadratic equations. You will today get to know there are numbers other than natural numbers. Do you know there are negative numbers? Have you seen them in the escalators? And when you start like that, and I said, today we are going to learn about integers. We are going to learn how to order integers. We are going to see where the integers are. So when you put such set expectations, when you call it out in the classroom, the clarity comes. The engagement in active learning is directly improving the performance in your children. So you have to have a purpose like that. That's why lesson planning is done. Now moving on. I have to tackle this. Now, what do I mean by this? So I start with a hook in my teaching. You might say hook is always there in a story. What are you talking about? I'm not going into storytelling session, but here I'm sharing with you a whispering gallery. I've not personally gone to one, but I read and watched lots of YouTube videos about amazing fact about the Grand Central Terminal in New York, the Whisper Gallery. If you know about it, please let me know in the chat box. If you have been to one of them, please let me know. Whispering galleries are a magic. And there's beautiful mathematics in it too. And I was amazed. And I use it in my classroom. So when we put a fact like that, now before I tell that, let me just play out this animation. This is my amateurish way of just engaging you, because I can't take you to the gallery. Imagine you're standing right there. The left hand fellow is you, and the right one man is far, far away from each other. And you say a hello, which even the person next to you cannot hear. The person is quite standing near. Where is my guy? Oh, right there. Even he cannot hear you say hello, but the farther away person, the friend that is in the other end of the gallery, is able to hear it. Now, how did that happen? It happened because of something that we teach in our classrooms. This is an elliptical roof. Amazing fact. I'm not going into teaching ellipse right now, but start with a hook. Start with something which will engage your children and create a story around it. You don't have to really start off by talking directly about a conic section. I'm sorry, most of my examples are from senior class curriculum because that's where my experience lies. But I'm sure you can find ideas around you where you can engage a child, because when you put a fact like that in front of your kid, when they're able to connect the dots of knowledge with the application in the reverse order, reciprocal learning. Don't we know about that? Reciprocal learning. What do you call the points where the two whisperers are standing? Which rule or magic makes this whisper learning travel the distance, etc., etc.? Critical thinking at display? Definitely. When your children fight to reason, explain, and recall, connected learning is happening. And isn't that the purpose? So, moving on, I think I should be rushing a little bit. This is how I made sense of derivatives for my children, where in the GIF, and I just had to download these simple GIFs which are available online. You just need to search a little bit and let the animation play out for the child. We know y is equal to x squared is a parabolic, and when we see the rate of change it's 2x, that means it's linear. And you show a graphical representation, let the child visualize. When you do that, my friend, look at the cubic one. Do I really have to talk much over here? So over here, another example. We all know the fact about, the probability. I'm sorry, I'm going tangential again. But we know that, let me move this a little bit. Let me talk about this particular one. These are two kids. One has a globe in the hand, and I announced to the child, Earth is 70% water, prove it. How will the child prove it? I just gave them a globe. How is that helping him? Have your children toss the ball to a classroom. Of course, that cannot be done online, but I'm sure there are apps which can help you. If you can make the birthday songs on videos with multiple children singing in chorus, I'm sure we can get this to do. But have the children toss the ball around, the globe around, and once everybody is seated, have them determine the ratio of the number of times the students' thumbs touch the water to the times it touched the land. You all know I'm talking about probability. And I'm also talking about verification of a fact. Contextualize the learning for the child. Authentic learning is to connect what a child is taught in school to the real world issues, the problems, and the application. So I believe learning experience should mirror the real life outside the classroom. Children should be trained to use a learning and make meaning beyond the success on the report cards. What do you say? Because right now we rank the achievement through the ranks. We measure through a test, and then we grade them, and then we promote them. Is that really learning? No, not in my point of view. Here comes another stimuli for you. Get ready, something else is coming your way. I still have 6 minutes. I'll have to rush a bit, but you must take autonomy of the session right now. So you see a bundle of rope. Let the length of the rope be any length that you want. And I'm also giving you a measuring tape. And what I want you to do is, as the heading says, make a perfect square corner. You're seeing a screen, a rope, and a measuring tape. I want you to think and tell me how these can be used to construct a perfect square corner between two walls. Please do stay. I think I'll be not able to end the session in time. But Karthik, I hope I'm allowed a leeway of 5 minutes or more. So I'll continue if you say a yes from your end.
Sure, sure, absolutely, absolutely, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Karthik. So please trust me, through my researches, what I found that there's no audio in this video, so please don't worry. In ancient Egyptian times, it is believed that 12 knots rope using the numbers 3, 4, and 5, they were used to make perfect square corners between two walls. These knots are equidistant and they are used to make perfect square corners in those times. Isn't it interesting to see how converse of Pythagoras theorem is in play in those times? And when I have my children engaged like that.
No, no, not that way. I want you to put one diya on the first staircase, okay? Double of that on the second staircase. Then double of the second staircase on the third staircase.
Okay, I got it. You want me to put diyas on the staircase so that every next step has twice as many as its previous step, right?
Yes, finally you got it.
But do we have enough diyas for the stairs?
Yes, Shalab, I bought diyas keeping the arrangement in mind. We have 6 steps in the staircase, and
Now, what you heard right now is actually a podcast. I make podcast. I'm addicted to them. I have to be very, very honest with you. But I was initiated into this process by Dr. Pramod, who's no more with us, CBSE person, joint secretary at CBSE headquarters. But he initiated Shiksha Vani podcast. And there are so many podcasts where you can engage, you can create. But trust me, this can really get your class to flip. We all know about flipped classrooms. So create a podcast, give it to the children before you actually go teaching in the next classroom, and you will see there is a buzz in the classroom. So you really need to work as a teacher. I know you're already overworked, but at the same time, बच्चों के लिए इतना तो बनता है. So podcast could be getting your children to engage, so bring variety. We are not teaching children of our times. These are another times. So we need to engage, have as you all must be using the Word documents, PDF, PPTs. Let's move further than that. The educational making educational videos making sites like Canva, Prezi, YouTube, MOOC platforms, podcasts app like Shikshawani, CBSE, or Spotify. That's where I'm doing it. Storytelling sessions you can record and send. Gamification tools like, we all have been using World, Kahoot, quizzes. There's so many rich experiential learning platforms like, one of my favorites of late is fet.colorado.edu. Online geometry tools like RoboCompass. We all have been struggling to teach geometry. We have been avoiding it. We were hoping the pandemic should lift off, but guys, we had to find a way around it. So we need this and more to engage the children in the classroom. Now, what more? I'm gonna skip the next one. That's again a podcast, which I think will take.
of two protractors in your pencil box.
Let's move
when
on.
put together. It is
All right. Can you make some sense of what's really going on the slide right now? I skipped the slide in the middle, but can you just try to make some sense of what's really in front of you? I see a square of area A square, a square of side B, and a square of side C. I should have given that detail, but at the same time, A square plus B square is C square. सुना हुआ सा लगता है. Yes, Pythagoras theorem. And when I play out something like this and I don't speak much, I'm getting my kids engaged with something other than teacher, but through the teacher. So you have to make the learning personalized. Bring a lot of criterias into your teaching. We all know about Wimbledon tennis. Is there any friend of mine who is into watching tennis, playing tennis? So on a Wimbledon tournament, why do we have 64 players? Why not 100? Why not 50? Because this game is played in pairs. I'm talking about singles. I'm not talking about the pair matches. I'm talking about single matches. Why do they have 64 players to play in total? Or let me just go ahead and ask you a question before I ask more. My question is, how many games are played in total, including the final match, if there were 64 players? What do you think is the answer? So 64 started, they must have played 32 games. 32 plus must have gone into the second round playing 16 games, then 8, and then 4, and then 2, and the last one gets to win. So in total, 63 games have been played. And once I asked this question to a child of class 3 or 4, he said, if there are 64 players and one winner, that means 63 games must have been played. Now make a sense out of this. Let your children be on their own sometimes, because they come with their different perspective, their different learning preferences, and that cannot be catered just through a lecture, chalkboard, PDF, or a PPT. I'm sorry, we have to do much more than that. So moving ahead, I'm just about to end. Teaching has to be linear and non-linear thinking and learning activity. Humans have a habit of thinking in a linear fashion. We as maths teacher know what a linear graph looks like. It's not hard to know why we do this. Like a lot of human mental activities, this is a shortcut. It saves us effort and the energy. I see a person, Priyanka ji, if you'll give me a second, I just have 2 more slides to run. I'll take up that question. But through this, all I'm trying to tell you is that it is believed that linear methods develop competency, but non-linear methods of teaching create capability. What are you aiming for? Competency and or capability, or both? So you need to have a child go linear in width, diversify his options of learning, and also non-linear. So I think I should be running a bit fast. I'm coming with lots of questions, guys. I hope you're still interested. We all have had questions in our books, and children go rolling their eyes. Okay, another horse or goat tied to a corner of a grassland, and how much grass can it graze? You all know which topic I'm referring to. So here is a goat, rope's length 1 meter, the shed's length one corner 2 meter, that goat is tied to the center. What's so different about it? No, Gupreet ma'am has, so there has to be a flip to it. So let me just make this rope 4 meter. Because we are running short on time, I have already overshot the time. So this is what most of the people think, or whenever I post this question in my sessions, this is the kind of response I get. But some also are able to go beyond it, the non-linear thinking. And then I'm sure you can see that the area this goat can graze, whose length of the rope is 4 meter, is basically 10 pi. So you need to know whether you want to just get a child to gain competency, or want to also help him with aiding with the capability part also. And go crazy a little. Sometimes, how about putting a goat to a equilateral triangle, etc., etc. Moving on. Your success criteria has to be diverse and transparent. But not doing much more to this slide. Let me close on this one. Learning is fun. No number on that. This is the beginning of it and this is the end of it. The learning has to be fun. You have to make sure the children are able to enjoy themselves, because you want them to be have a curiosity and mystery in your lesson. Don't repeat or recycle your classroom material. Create classroom games. Give them choices and variety in learning and assessment. Use technology. Dil khol ke use technology if you can. Learn on in the process yourself. That's what I did myself. And make your lessons interactive. Relate material to your students, interests and their personal experiences. So when you do that, I'm sure you would have children having fun in your classroom, because constructive noise is happy noise. So with that, I would like to close my side of the sessions. I'm sorry for taking so much extra time. Sorry, Kartike. But the thought which I want to leave you with is that kids learn best when they like you. So you have to make your teaching learn, because they remember you. They don't remember your questions or your strategies. They remember you. So enjoy. So thank you so much. Kartike, I am done. Over to you. Thank you so much for your patience.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, Gurpreet, ma'am. And fantastic session, and all of us really enjoyed it. Uh, Miss, I know we're already 6 minutes past six, but if you can take a couple of seconds and answer and try answering Miss Priyanka's question. Miss Priyanka has been repeatedly asking that question a lot, and maybe coming from a seasoned mathematics teacher like you, she's probably looking for some input. So it'll be great if you
So,
could answer. Yeah.
so she is saying, how can a teacher, let's not call you a fresher, you're a teacher. Yeah, so you all come with your own perspective and experiences, maybe as a student. So, how do you arouse the interest for maths among students who don't find maths useful or relevant? I would have to repeat all that I said till now. Try some of it, try all of it, experiment, and try to keep a pulse of what your children, their preferences of learning. You need to first of all see the kind of students you have. One advice that I can give you here, or what I used to do when I was into active teaching in a school, I used to start every session with new set of kids or old set of kids, using a rubric where I had lots and lots of questions to ask them about their mindset, about the kind of maths experiences they have had, what are their expectations from the new year, what future are they looking for. So get to know the children first. So create a relationship first of all. And if they don't find it useful, you have to make it contextualized to their situation. I have no answer to that. Your students are proof enough. And I'm sure feedback, the supervisor takes feedback from the students and the parents also. So keep track of all efforts that you do, create a file. But remember, at the end, your purpose of being a teacher is not to take accolades from the management. They have to do their own job while you are there for a specific reason. Who's that? Your students and your love for teaching. So I don't really have an answer to the second part of the question. So good result is very subjective. What is a good result? So my thinking is thoda sa hatke. I'm definitely not into the success criteria or the grading system. For the time being, I would say please just let it be. Put in your whole efforts, and I'm sure the results or the student feedback, parent feedback will let the management know what a great teacher you are. So that would be it. So
Thank you so much, Gurpreet ma'am, for answering that, and thank you all for taking out time on this evening and joining us live. I'm sure you found the session useful, like all of us did. Uh, uh, the registrations So we're having a special session this Monday, which is the 20th of September. It's all our sessions usually happen on Thursdays, but we have a special session this Monday on 20th of September from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. And this is actually going to be on the Teaching Professionals Olympiad, which is our international competition for teachers, which of course is fully online now, and which of course Gurpreet ma'am is a winner of. We're going to have that session on Monday, in which we'll take questions on, and we'll also, because every day we get tons of emails on, what is TPO, how should one go about preparing for it, and, what does the format look like, what should I be referring to, how many stages are there. So we thought that we'll just do a session, and then, in case you have any questions, we'll definitely try and answer those. We already have a set of questions ready, which we'll, discuss during the session. So please do join us on Monday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. and we'll have that session then. Registrations, as always, are open on my center, n.centa.org, from your mobile browser. I hope you filled in your feedback form, the feedback form that was shared. And in case you're looking for your record of participation to reach you tomorrow, that is super critical. Thank you once again, everyone. Thank you once again, Gurpreet ma'am. I'm sure I'm going to be getting back to you. Me and my team are going to get back to you with requests for another session, and potentially, further engagement on multiple fronts. So thank
Thank
you
you
once
so
again,
much,
ma'am.
Karthik. Thank you so much. Thank you, Center. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, ma'am.